This is a longer clip of Hillary Clinton talking about what she thinks about the feedback of her extremely controversial take. Let's see what she had to say.
I want to talk about you now. You've been in the news this past week for some comments you made at an event in New York organized by the newspaper Israel Hayom. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but you said that smart, well-educated young Americans are getting their news from social media and from TikTok. And you went on to say that this is how they're learning about what happened on October 7th and then what happened in Gaza in the months that followed. And it appears that this was a broader lament on your part about declining support among Americans for Israel. That comment has generated a lot of controversy, and it's led Congressman Ro Khanna, for example, to point out that I don't think the answer is to disparage the intelligence of young people. It's been a few days now since you've said that. How are you reflecting on your words and the controversy around it?
Well, I think it is a provable fact that most Americans and an even bigger percentage of young Americans get their news from social media. If that is controversial, then people are not paying attention to how...
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I think it's an incomplete...
Well, let me rephrase this.
They should be listening to you, Ravi. I mean, obviously.
People do listen to me for what it's worth, and I am also on Instagram and TikTok. But I guess the broader point here is that if Americans are shifting in their views about Israel, and poll after poll shows that that is the case, that is based on some information that they're getting not just from social media, but also from very reputable journalists operating in the region, also Palestinian journalists in Gaza. Why is that not accurate?
I'm not saying it's not accurate. I am saying that I teach at Columbia University, and I teach a course called Inside the Situation Room. And so it's a very large course. I co-teach it with the dean of the School of International and Public Affairs. And so I've had many, many conversations with very smart young people, not just Americans, but literally from around the world.
It's worth pointing out that Columbia, of course, has been a center of some protest and action.
And it was.
On this issue.
And I talked to students there. I've talked to students elsewhere. And in talking with them about their views, they were certainly entitled to those views based on whatever information they had. But they did not always know why they were saying what they said. And all I'm asking for is that people have a historical context, both for what has happened to the Palestinians and what has happened to the Israelis, because we are not going to implement the 20-point peace plan or any other peace plan unless people come with some sense of historical perspective and empathy about how we're going to move people toward what I still believe is the only realistic outcome, a two-state solution. And we're not going to get there if people, when they say from the river to the sea, and you say what river and what sea, and they don't know, which has personally happened in conversations that I've had. I just, but this is a larger issue, because even on other matters in this class that I teach, we are not doing a good job teaching history. We're not giving young people the kind of context that I think they need to be decision makers.
But with all due respect, and I can't gauge how well young people grapple with history, but what I can speak to is they're grappling with the here and now. And they are witnessing images that are live streamed, that are coming out every day, and yes, there is misinformation and disinformation, but a lot of it is real. And I think there's a genuine anger in the United States and around the world that some of that anger is deflected.
But Ravi, I'm angry about all of the human rights abuses. I'm angry about all of the excessive use of force. I'm angry about, what happened on October 7th in Israel and what happened in Gaza. I'm angry about what Russia's doing in Ukraine. I'm angry about Sudan. I'm angry about the Eastern Congo. I mean, I think we should be all looking at the tragedies and the conflicts that are bringing about so much suffering and be dealing with them. That's why the national security strategy is not to my liking, because I think the United States has an important role in trying to resolve these conflicts and alleviate the suffering and give people a chance to have peaceful, prosperous lives. That should be our goal. That is in America's interest. I don't care where in the world you are. So, of course, the suffering in Gaza is horrific. Full stop. Suffering everywhere is horrific. So let's look at what we can do to try to resolve, what is being done to people in so many different settings right now. And I think that the emphasis on one terrible conflict sort of doesn't do justice to the challenges that we are confronting. And I don't want to see my country basically say, you know what, those other presidents, they tried to resolve conflicts. They tried to stand for democracy and freedom. They stood up for human rights. What a waste of time.
It's very clear Hillary Clinton could give two fucks about the Palestinians. It's very clear that Hillary Clinton relies on, well, I think that people are not really understanding history. And it's because when I tell them, they don't really know what they're talking about. It's their opinions, undermining actual history. What Hillary Clinton is doing is literally revising the Second Holocaust. She's revising the Nakba. You don't need to know the history of the creation of Israel to know that what is happening is a genocide. You don't need to fucking know that. You fucking see it, you fucking hear about it. And yet, that's not good enough for her. She needs Israel to be defended front and center. And that's another thing Zionists do all the time is, well, why we need to care about what's happening in Sudan. We need to care about what's happening in the Congo. Here's the thing that's the difference. The United States is giving unlimited funds to Israel. The United States is not giving unlimited funds regarding the genocide in Sudan, regarding the genocide in the Congo. That is the difference. And also, the United States has the power to end the genocide in Gaza. That is the key difference between the two. What also really fucking makes me mad is she's like, it is the best interest of the United States to implement and help make everything peaceful. The United States is responsible for a majority of these issues. By putting in puppet governments, by doing illegal coups, the United States is responsible for destabilizing different countries and then gets mad when blowback happens and then puts more war, puts more destabilization when they need to fight back because of terror attacks. And then it's an endless cycle. And yet, that's in the United States' best interest. No, the United States' best interest is imperialism. The United States' best interest is colonialism. And that is why the United States has destabilized so many fucking countries whenever they get their grubby little hands on it. She will never understand the harm that the United States has caused because she's a neocon. And she will never be on the side of the Palestinians. Because if she truly was on the side of the Palestinians, she would never ask for a two-state solution. She would ask for a one-state, all equals rights, not an apartheid state that is currently what is happening in Palestine and Israel. She's never going to fucking learn. She's just a Zionist neocon.